And welcome to the Be Real, Get Real podcast. I am your host, Nancy Matthews, one of the founders of Women's Prosperity Network. And the Be Real, Get Real podcast is all about real women sharing real stories of their journey that led them to being with us here today, why they do what they do, their purpose, their calling. And sometimes, as we all know, the mess that can occur along the way that leads to us living our purpose and delivering our message. So today I have the privilege of introducing you to Sally DiCesare. Welcome, Sally.
Hello, welcome. Thank you very much, Nancy. I'm welcoming everybody, but thank you, Nancy, for having me on. I appreciate it.
It is my absolute pleasure to have you and to be able to share you because number one, I love and I care about you and I love the work that you're doing in the world. Number two, I think your story and your journey is a pretty common one for many of us, women and men, who go through the motions, who have a very successful career, but can find that career leads to physical and or emotional and mental stressors in our lives. So I'm grateful that you're sharing your story. And so let me tell a little bit about your background before we dive in. So Sally DiCesare has been working in the dentistry industry as a dental hygienist since 1978. Sally learned to overcome the physical and emotional stressors everyone faces, not just those in the dental profession. Through intense study, investigation, and certifications in a variety of healing modalities, she blended them into the alchemy of healing so others can learn to live their bliss now, not later. Over the past 25 years, she has been helping others cope and thrive where they felt there was no hope, when they felt they had no voice. She has been a speaker, international presenter, coach, and mentor to professionals in all lines of work. And here today, she's with you to share some of her pearls of wisdom. So thanks again, Sally.
Thank you very much for that.
So I want to start off by really asking you, you've been in the dental industry since 1978. What was happening in your life that had you say, there's got to be a better way? What can I do differently? So what was going on for you around that?
Well, if I can even go further back than that, because when I think about my life, people would have looked at it and said it was perfect, right? I had both of my parents, I had a house, I had a sister. We looked like we had a good life. I had food on the table. My life was really very, very good. My problem was that I was very sensitive. And I was raised in a family that was extremely rigid in how they thought and how they taught me. And I wanted to be more loosey-goosey. And so over time, I learned not to trust what I wanted because it wasn't what the other people in the family. I was the black sheep of the family.
So maybe you felt like there must be something wrong with me, or I don't fit in. Why do I think like this when nobody else does, right?
I couldn't trust my voice.
Yeah.
I couldn't trust how I felt because it appeared that I was wrong. I was the only one who felt the way I felt. And so I got into a profession that would take care of me because it was supposed to be right. I lived my life. Checked all the boxes that I was supposed to check.
You looked really good on paper.
I did. And I smiled when my dad used to call me Sarah Bernhardt, and an old actress. Right?
That's a throwback to our, my mom did that occasionally too. Oh, you're being so dramatic. Right, that's what it meant, right?
Right. And I would go to work and it was showtime. And in dentistry, didn't matter. I was still on the stage, right? And that all worked, like you said, until I would come home and I would be yelling and screaming. And throwing things down and picking up something else, and we'd run out the door off to something else. And my two girls, poor things. And I was okay. I mean, I thought it was normal until I came home one time. You start thinking, oh, this insanity, everybody feels it.
Yeah.
And my husband, you've heard me say, called me his witch, but he laughed at me this one time. I can see him sitting in that chair, and he called me, he looked at me like, oh my God, here she is again. And he laughed. And that's when I knew there had to be a better way. I could handle anything else. I had always handled everything else. Just give it to me and I'll carry it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I could not handle that. And fortunately, I ran into a friend who said, oh, you just really need some help.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started looking at alternative therapies. It's really funny because I never really considered going the traditional route, the allopathic medicine route. I looked at all that. I knew enough about how it worked from being in the dental part of it, that I knew to treat myself holistically was better than treating it by tamping down what
Right.
I was.
So I'm guessing at this point, feeling stressed, anxious, angry, frustrated, the traditional route, and this may be good for some people, I don't want to knock
Absolutely.
it,
Right.
would have been to go to your doctor, who then puts you on a medication to balance out the neurons, and and use that type of a treatment, which works. Like I said, we're not making anything wrong here, but what you were called to do was pursue more natural remedies. Now, how did you even know where to look?
I called her my angel. Bobby Wade looked at me and honestly said to me, you need help, because I did not know to ask for help. That was not in my verbiage either, my vocabulary. And so she told me, you need help. And she then told me about craniosacral therapy. And that started me on my journey, which has me now speaking up for myself. And there is nothing more powerful than being in your truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a matter of peeling away and unlearning some things. So even as I think back to the story you shared from when you were a child, you thought your voice was wrong or didn't matter. So you adopted strategies to not listen to it, started listening to other people. So I'm guessing part of your journey has been peeling away those layers to hear yourself again.
Yes. And to listen to my body. When my body hurts, it's telling me something's wrong. And many of us, pop an aspirin, again, not knocking any of we're given all the remedies, whether they're from medicine or they're from nature, they all are given to us. So, but I knew that, yes, maybe I'll have to take some Advil now, but I better deal with that, because if I don't deal with it, it's going to get worse for me later.
It'll turn into something. So how did you come up with the alchemy of healing? So let's talk about that process, because I know you pretty well, and you've got lots of different modalities. So tell us about that alchemy of healing.
So yeah, there are so many alternative therapies out there, and I'm a curious mind, and my mind is always learning, and I feel I'm one of those lifelong learners. I didn't like it so much as a kid because it didn't resonate me, but now I'm studying things I love, right?
Right.
So everything is
not
interesting.
just arithmetic and calculus.
It's like, wow, and so everything is fascinating. And so I started with chiropractic, which was way outside my, what was normal for me growing up. And that was wild and crazy. And then we started with craniosacral therapy. And then something else came in craniosacral therapy. There's something called somato-emotional release, which is actually learning to talk to your tissue.
Ooh,
And,
I don't.
and so when your tissue, yes, your tissue tells you stuff. So, and another thing I learned about that, our emotions tell us. Like
Mhm.
everybody's like, oh, don't be jealous. Jealousy is a bad, that's bad. But what if jealousy was just telling you what you really wanted?
Oh,
Instead of it being all slimy and nasty, you go, oh, I don't like how I feel, and that's okay. Notice how you feel when you see something you want. Do you really want that person has, or do you want something like it, or do you want one of your own? You
that's
don't necessarily want theirs.
yeah. Well, and you know what? That was really a good one of those gems I told you she'd be delivering. There you go. I It reminds me of Dr. David Hawkins, who wrote Power versus Force. He's got several books, and another one that I'm just starting to study and get into is called Letting Go. And it's the process of honoring your emotions. Because I think part of what you're talking about here is that feeling or emotion of a jealousy shows up. So that's your voice is creating this emotion, but then society says, oh, don't feel jealous. So we try to repress it. And what you just shared is how to honor that emotion and look for what is it trying to tell you. We don't have to judge it as a bad thing. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how we get into, well, I get into trouble,
Mm,
putting a judgment on it,
yeah.
or hearing the voice in your head, oh, nice little girls don't do that, right? Or
Mhm.
if you want to be in control, you don't speak up.
So many good things. So many good things. Wow. All right. So the alchemy of healing is, so you've been on this curious journey, learning, getting certified in many different things. Um, so why did you create this? I know you have a membership and a community about the alchemy of healing, as opposed to just picking one modality and going with it.
Yeah, because that's it. I didn't heal with just one modality. It took many. Like you had mentioned earlier, it's the layers. You get to one, you physically feel a little bit better. Okay, then something else pops up. So what do I need to look at that and discover what that's telling me? And so many times there are so many things. And in my opinion, people will come to me and they say, I've tried everything. Well, you've tried everything you know.
Oh,
So,
good distinction. I like that.
so the membership gives people the opportunity to try, listen to people who practice different modalities. Yes, I speak. I also have guests in who speak on a ton of different modalities, and they'll even give you the experience. So you get to hear about the modality and then experience it, all from the comfort of your home in an hour.
That
And
was
you don't have
great.
to search and call up, and they'll give you how to reach out to them or somebody like them to give you, oh, is this going to work for me? Because we know if it's going to, if it resonates with you.
Well, and it's also you're creating an opportunity for me to learn about things that I may not be familiar with. And if I think I've tried everything, maybe I've not heard of the Somato emotional release. Is that what you called it?
I did.
Okay, you got it right.
Exactly.
So because we only know what we've been educated to or exposed to up until this point. So I would venture to say if there's still some suffering or discomfort happening, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever's going on with you, maybe you just haven't come upon the right tool at the right time to serve you. And that's what I'm hearing the alchemy is all about, the alchemy of healing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just people who are interested in learning more about the opportunities that are out there for them.
Awesome. All right. Well, Sally, thank you for following your truth and speaking your voice, because you definitely do that now. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
For our audience out there, go ahead. You can get in touch with Sally by going to yourblissfuljourney.com. And she's got a special gift, a free gift that you can get by going to yourblissfuljourney.com/clarity. And will you tell them what that gift is?
Oh, yes. It is a wonderful meditation that starts you out, starts your day out or ends your day with a grounding, because you want to pre-pave how your day is going to go. And if you do this meditation in the morning, it will help you set the tone for the day so that you can have a blissful day.
I love it. Is it a guided meditation, like you're
Yes,
speaking, which is good,
I'm speaking the whole way through.
which helps me because meditation was not something easy for me in the beginning. So I needed guided meditations to kind of keep my mind from going in too many directions.
Absolutely. You know, and you're not alone. And walking meditation, if you walk and count your steps, that's meditation as
Ah,
well. So anything that gets your mind focused on not all those 90 million things
and
can
being
be
present.
meditative.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for that. That was a good distinction. All right. Miss Sally, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for being with us on the Be Real, Get Real podcast.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you all.
All right, beautiful. So thank you all for joining us today for this podcast. Be sure to tune in. We are available on all of the platforms: YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, all those great places where you can subscribe to podcasts. So do that. Join us again. We'll be back with more and additional episodes of Extraordinary Women Living Extraordinary Lives. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye, Sally.
Bye, Nancy. Thank you.
Welcome.